Chapter 29. The Rush to Argus. Argus Station had been busy before the purge. Now it was alive. Traffic lanes around the station glowed with constant motion. Freighters, shuttles, council ships repurposed for relief work, private craft from 100 worlds. Repair drones crawled over plating that had once been scorch-marked by impotent council fire, and more recently battered by the backlash of a weaponized galaxy. Into that chaos came a single shuttle, running its engines hotter than the dockmaster recommended. "Transmit authorization again," Admiral Vor Keth said, fingers tight on the armrests. "Already did," the pilot replied. "3 times. They said, and I quote, 'He knows where we are.'" The shuttle slid into its assigned approach corridor. Argus grew in the viewport, a lattice of rings and towers, lights burning in nearly every window. It did not look like a target or a prize. It looked like a place people had decided to keep. Docking clamps kissed hull, mag seals locked. The hatch cycled with a hiss. Keth didn't wait for the full formal clearance. He unbuckled as the indicators were still flipping from red to green and was on his feet before the pilot could object. "Sir, log my departure," Keth said. "And if anyone asks, this is an unsanctioned personal visit." "Yes, Admiral." The air in the docking corridor smelled faintly of metal, recycled air, and something warm and fried from a food stall too near the traffic flow. Keth barely registered it. He walked fast, then faster, then realized he was bordering on jogging and forced himself back down to something like a brisk walk. Crew recognized him as he passed. Once they might have saluted out of reflex. Now most just nodded, tired and companionable, equal parts soldier and survivor. He reached the main cross corridor and saw her before his brain caught up to his eyes. Morgan Hale stood near a cluster of hollow boards, a datapad in one hand, stylus in the other, hair tied back in a practical knot. A half-dozen techs hovered around her as she delegated repair slots, housing assignments, and docking priorities. "No, Dock 6 can't take more refugees until the water recyclers are back at 98%, she was saying. "Move that ship to 8C and tell them if they complain they can file it in triplicate and I'll read it personally in the next century." A tech laughed, scribbled, and ran off. "Morgan," Keth called. His voice came out louder than he expected. A few heads turned. Morgan's did too. He was breathing harder than he wanted to be by the time he reached her, a little out of breath in a way his rank had not demanded of him in years. "Admiral?" she asked, eyebrow ticking up. "Is something on fire?" He stopped, tried again, straightened his coat out of habit, then gave up on composure entirely. "I have to ask you something," he said. Her expression shifted minutely. The station had taught her to expect crises between heartbeats. "Is it structural?" "No." "Security?" "No." "Union field alignment?" "No." She narrowed her eyes slightly. "Is it going to cost me money?" "Almost certainly," he said before he could stop himself. That, unexpectedly, made her mouth twitch. "All right, Admiral," she said. "You've run down my entire list of disasters. What is it?" He opened his mouth and found, to his alarm, that the words tried to stick. "We just fought a galaxy-eating phenomenon," he blurted instead. "And I helped," she cut in. He hesitated. "I helped," he admitted. She crossed her arms. And I realized," he said, all in one rush now, "that we don't know if we have days or years or centuries before the next catastrophe. So if I don't ask this now, I may never get another chance." She watched him steadily. The background noise of the station went on. Cargo hatches clanging, voices over intercoms, distant laughter from some mess hall. Keth swallowed. "I have to ask you to dinner," he said. "With me, properly, no agenda, no crisis, just dinner." A tech passing by actually stumbled. Another pretended not to be listening and failed badly. Morgan blinked once. "We almost lost everything," she said slowly. The galaxy bent a planet killer into a star. We're still sorting refugees. We have a backlog of repair tickets so long I could use them to build a second station. And your important question is if I'll go to dinner with you? Yes, Keth said. He didn't dress it up, didn't soften it. He just stood there, former council admiral in a civilian-crowded corridor, shoulders square and throat dry. Morgan stared at him for a heartbeat longer, then let out a breath that might have been a laugh if it hadn't been so tired. I suppose, she said, glancing at her datapad, that I can make time for you. She tapped a quick series of commands, slotting something off her schedule and dragging a blank into its place. Dockmaster briefing can move, she muttered. If he complains, I'll tell him it's your fault. She looked back up at Keth. You're paying, and if you pick a place with bad coffee, this arrangement ends immediately. He felt something unfamiliar and sharp and warm in his chest that had nothing to do with adrenaline. Understood, he said. She turned, started walking. Well, she called over her shoulder, come on. If we're going to risk a social interaction after all that, it had better start before the next Union Hall meltdown. He fell into step beside her, and for the first time since he'd seen Saul on that tactical display, Admiral Vor Keth felt something like the future, tugging, gently, instead of the past.